to revamp the menu completely, in the sense of items in the menu have to change. Right? Because I think it's been way too long. We opened the restaurant in 2014. Our menu's been really consistent in the same, in the same direction. Nothing's changed that much. I think that's great for people that go to the restaurant asking for the same items, but there's a moment where you just have to spice it up. Yeah. Restaurants change all the time their menu. I mean, even Hillstone, which is, I think, your favorite, my favorite, I think everybody's favorite here in Orlando.
Yeah, they have seasonal items.
We have a specials board that I think a lot of those items sell, and a lot of those items are used to doing the creative stuff that people want to do in the kitchen. And right now we're working on a French dip. AJ's pretty excited about it.
It's real tasty.
It's real tasty.
Tasty.
Did you just fucking say tasty?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's what?
Might as well write in a magazine.
Oh my God.
It's real tasty.
Oh my God.
It's fucking good. Okay. This shit bumps. Like, it fucks.
Thomas's
the sandwich
version,
fucks.
Sandwich fucks. My version, real tasty.
Real tasty. Yeah.
It's just different.
Hey, I want to be in Condé Nast magazine.
I do want to be
I want to be there, but I'd be like, yo, this fucks. Yeah.
I mean, she could quote you on that, I'm sure.
I hope she does.
I hope she does too. Okay, so what is food cost? How do we measure it? How do we look at it?
We lose, typically 50% to 25% of the weight that we pay for. So, like, everybody thinks, oh my God, that brisket's so expensive. Yeah, it's expensive because we paid for it. Right now, I think we're paying $3.75 per pound. So we paid for that pound, but then we have to take the fat off. Then we have to cook it. And then that means that you lose 50% of the weight. And God forbid somebody drops a piece of it, then you lose more. Right. So people don't realize that restaurants have to have a cushion in that cost so that we can make money. And more than ever, in this industry right now where wages are going up, and everything's changing so much, we have to make sure that the restaurant profits. I always say, protect the restaurant, protect your profit, right?
Some of the things that we make are super labor intensive and, take multiple steps and multiple ingredients and, days to make where, it's not just like a slap it together and it's good to go.
We're hitting it heavy right now with the food cost situation. And I mean, we talk about rubs going up in price. We talk about sauces going up in price because we make our own sauces. I mean, and at that point, like, people don't realize that we're giving them away. I mean, oh yeah, that's included in the price. Well, not really. I mean, yeah, one of them is like 1 2-ounce sauce. Right. Not 10. Right. So people go, oh my God, you're going to charge me 25 cents, which we don't, because at the end of the day, in barbecue, people love sauce. But that is a cost for us. And obviously we try to balance it out with items that have lower food costs, which for us is the tacos, right? But then when the perfect storm happens, which is currently what we're in right now, where chicken goes haywire through the roof, and basically we lose the possibility of picking that cost up and balancing the total food cost, then you're in a pickle. So then you're almost like, hey, how do we raise prices? How do we do this effectively so that people don't feel like we're price gouging them? Another thing that I was talking to somebody about was the fact that, we serve pretty much the largest rack in town. I mean, we do a 3.5 and down St. Louis style rib, when our competitors do 2 pounds or 1.5 pounds full racks. Right. Our chicken is humongous.
The half chicken literally takes up the entire plate.
Yeah. And yesterday I went to another restaurant that they cater themselves to be, super price conscious, and I paid $13 for a half chicken, 2 sides, and when I got the plate and I started eating the chicken, I was like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like,
where's the rest of my food?
Yeah, where's the rest of my food? There was probably, I've counted, because I'm on a diet, I counted 10 to 12 ounces of chicken, actual chicken, without the bones. Right. that we get from our half chickens. Yesterday, there had to be 4 ounces.
Wow.
It was horrible. It was tiny, all bones, all this. Then people, visually, they see it's a half chicken, but they don't know that behind that, I mean, there's weight to it, right? And that's what's a little frustrating when we focus on costs and all these things that we discuss. Is just like people don't know that we're actually using, you know, the largest racks or the largest chicken there is out there for half chickens.
Yeah. Quality ingredients, quality product.
Quality. Not a subpar product, probably the best product there is in barbecue. Would I like to change my ribs to 2 pounds and make more money? Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, the most expensive item must mean they're making the most profit. But that's not the case, really.
At all.
In our industry or our side of it.
For many years, I subsidized ribs. Many years. The ribs have not, like, the pricing on ribs has not changed enormously, believe it or not. Like, typically it ranges from the $2.50 to $3 range. Mm-hmm. Now I know the market is $4.50, but I have a contract, which helps me out a lot. But I mean, I've been subsidizing for years. I used to sell a half rack of ribs, I think, for $15.99, you know? So it was like, obviously I was being price conscious, but I should have been selling it for $18.99 or $19.99, which is what I sell it now.
Right.
And the full rack at $32. When people go to other restaurants, they don't realize, like, I think Bubbaloo's charges, and I'll name them, I don't care, but they charge per pound. So when you take the price difference and you weigh it, it's literally $38, $40
right.
for a full rack.
Which is wild.
And
then we get but we get pushback for our pricing, and you're like, wait.
And I've had people too, when they take the ribs, they go and weigh them at home, and I'm like, wow, that's next level. Like, you don't realize. Yeah, when you go to a steakhouse, they say 10 ounce, but it's 10 ounce raw, right, not cooked, right? So I mean, there's a cost to it. And we all have to make money so that we could keep this going and growing and all these fun things that we do all the time.
What is the industry standard for food costs, and where are we?
Well, it all depends on the cuisine. There are some Asian restaurants that do 22%. There's pizza restaurants that do 22 to 25 to 27. Mexican does typically low too, like 22, 23. McDonald's does 27 just because of their like pricing in terms of their value meals and stuff like that. We are typically running at 32. Steakhouses typically run 38 to 40, but they do more volume in terms of money. So they're bringing in more money.
Yeah, higher tickets, but they do balance it out with sides. That's why the sides typically are sold separately and are high cost. Unless you go to Linda's La Cantina, which I think is the best value in town for a steak. I haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah, I think she's great. That family, they're doing it right. I mean, they sell you a steak with sides, salad, all that.
It's all inclusive, right?
It's all inclusive. I think that's great. That's why I typically go there. It's always packed, and I think that's the reason why, right?
Yeah.
Because people see the value.
People can appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think value is such a big thing. We keep talking about it all the time, and you know, when we have our meetings, we talk about, remember, being value oriented. As we do pizza too, the same thing. Like, yeah, I definitely want to have a well-priced pizza, you know, and lucky that we're doing full liquor. That'll help balance out the food costs. But I mean, at the same time, you do have to charge for having superior ingredients.
10 years ago, you always wanted to be like at lunch, your price point $10 or under. And now I kind of feel like people want to be at like $15 or under.
Yesterday, me and my brother-in-law went to Chick-fil-A, and we ordered 2 12 counts of nuggets, of the grilled nuggets.
Okay.
And I ordered a wrap, and I think the ticket was $15
per person.
No, total. But at the end of the day, like when you think about it, the chicken that they serve in the nuggets is 4 ounces just cut in pieces.
Right.
So that's really an 8-ounce chicken. And the wrap that I had, if it had 2 ounces of chicken, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
So
it has a lot of toppings, I think.
Yeah, it has a lot of toppings. So when you see that, you go, this doesn't make any sense that people get, for example, at our store, half chicken with 2 sides. That's so much more food than that for like $12.99. And then it's just, to me, I think it's changed. Yeah, like you said, it's changed, but still people like to stay in the $12 to $14 mark with a drink.
With a drink. Yeah.
So we see a lot of people order like the plain Janes,
Brisket
the
and
taco
pork,
special, because I think that's a good value item and they want to stay there. And also like now the bento boxes, which I told you that we're going to totally revamp.
Yeah. They're going to look different soon, people.
We have to play into the role of what the bento boxes are really for. And that's really to just create different menu items that have different flavors. Like if we do brisket and we do pork that tastes the same and just it's less quantity, but it has rice and beans and stuff like that, it's kind of boring.
It's not exciting.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put in fried rice. We're going to put in the meats that we put in. We're going to try to find different sauces and different ways of making them.
Variations of them.
Yeah, variations to make sure that it's cool and it's interesting. And, if it's something that you don't like, you have other options on the menu to go back to just traditional. But we have to play that fact. Like we are an international barbecue joint, so things have to be different.
So if you were to give advice to another restaurant or, restaurant owners or even general manager who is struggling with food costs, what would you tell them? Like, how would you tell them to start working on this issue?
The first thing is you have to negotiate your pricing correctly, right? Unless you're buying it from Restaurant Depot or you're going penny gouging to different places.
Every day,
right? And I know a lot of people that do it that way.
There are places that do that.
Yeah. Because I think they believe that, this business is about pennies. And I'm all about it. But at the same time, people should focus on getting sales.
Yeah.
They always focus on food costs. I focus on getting sales. And I let you guys focus on the food cost aspect. So I would tell them, first, let's see your negotiation. Let's see especially what's your beer and wine costs or full liquor costs, because that could be helping your food costs come down. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, let's look at your recipes. Are your guys portioning, or your guys or girls portioning correctly? Are you guys having no waste? What's going on with the fat? Are you doing anything with it? There's so many items that can... Are you priced correctly because you losing the weight? People think like, oh, well, pork is at $2, then, that's my food cost. My food cost is really $1 because I'm serving them 8 ounces. And you tell them like, yeah, have you weighed it recently? Did you notice how much weight you lost? Even
with things besides meat, like what did we do the other day? Fries. We weighed out the fries after we cooked them, and
25.
You lose a significant amount. You're like, holy crap, something as simple as French fries. Like, you wouldn't think that, I don't think.
Not only as simple as French fries, nobody accounts for the oil. Right now, oil is at an all-time high. It's at $45. Yeah. Oil was $20 during the pandemic.
And when you're cleaning your fryer multiple times a week...
you're spending $80 every time you fill it out now. Yeah. It's like a gas tank.
It's literally just...
Down the drain. Towards the grease trap, guys. We're not
Safety
throwing it
first.
down the drain. Yeah. But that's one of the issues. Like, even in the pizza business, as I see it now, like, you're putting in flour, you're putting in all these other items, and yes, dough is cheap. But then when you start going into the cheese, when you start going into the meats on top of it,
the sauce,
all that stuff, it gets really expensive, right? So people are like, oh, well, pizza is so cheap. Well, no. Pizza's not cheap. The thing is, Pizza Hut, Domino's, Papa John's and all that have basic cheese, right? Not saying that it's shitty. They use blends. They use a sauce that's pretty basic, right? and they have strong negotiation power to buy all that stuff at a better price.
Especially considering their size. Like,
they go through so much, right? So it's the same thing with other people that are in the business, like McDonald's and stuff like that. They buy in bulk, right? Their French fries cost are probably so much more lower than us. We pay for what, a case of fries, $27.52.
Yeah.
For a case of 30 pounds, right? So you're considering that you get 30 pounds of fries. So when typically somebody gets a 30-pound case of fries, they go and they do the multiplication or the math, and they figure out, well, it's costing me this much per pound, and I use 6 ounces to cook on the fries, and then whatever comes out. No.
Right. There are other factors.
There's other factors, right? So this is a frozen product. Whenever you fry it, it's going to lose water because it's frozen. And then when you put it on a plate, you're trying to calculate how much oil did you use throughout that specific process, and then how many fries ounce-wise there is.
What do you think about changing distributors?
I had Cheney for years, and I liked them, and I didn't have any problems with them. But at one point, when you go down and negotiate, and you're asking for certain things, and they don't give them to you after you've been a client and been paying well for that many years, you get kind of pissed.
Time to reevaluate.
We have a relationship with Gordon's Food Service, which I told my dad that I didn't want to have a relationship with Gordon Food Service, because I remember that my dad did business with Mr. Gordon himself years ago in Puerto Rico, and they were friends. And then when we went to an event, his grandson treated my dad like shit, and I said, I will never buy from Gordon's.
Wow.
I told everybody, like, don't come this way.
Right.
I will never buy from Gordon's.
We're not working with you.
We're not working with you. And my dad's like, let it go. Okay, I'm going to let it go. And we sat down, we did Gordon's. Now, I tell you, we get hit on, like, this is like getting on, we get hit on daily by the big ones, U.S. Foods and Cisco and all that. And I mean, I think I almost had to call the police on the Cisco lady.
She was super persistent.
Which is great. But I said, I will never buy from your company ever. I don't give a fuck if you give me $100,000 check right now. I won't buy it. I won't, because I don't like these big companies. They come up with agreements that, you sign today, and then they change them. And I don't know if they're going to sue me after they hear this shit, but it's the truth. That's just my opinion. It's what happens. There's so many people that go into those contracts, and then all of a sudden they change them after you sign them, or they change the pricing, or they figure out a way to get their money back. Obviously, yes, I get it. You got to get your money back, but there's other ways to do it effectively.
And especially when you're like the small fish in that mega pond, your leverage once you sign a contract.
Yeah, I have a 2-year contract with GFS that ends in February next year.
Get right.
Get ready. And then I have a new concept going up that I have to negotiate a new contract with too.
And then how do you feel about having multiple distributors? Like sometimes there are items that your distributor may not carry.
We have that right now, unfortunately, because the guy that sells us our chorizo doesn't want to sell to GFS. So he has a contract with Cheney's. And GFS tried to bring us different chorizos, and we didn't like them. So we decided that we're going to continue buying that from Cheney. I mean, it's the same thing with our tortillas. I think Cheney has a better price on them because they do it differently than GFS. So we buy the tortillas from Cheney, right? But those items, when you buy 90% or more from the GFS brand, then the contract's complete. Right. So they know, they know that they're not going to have all the items. They're going to try, and they try really hard. They're not going to be the best
price on everything.
No, they're not going to be the best price. It's just going to be a balanced price at the end of the day. Now, when you have a chain and there's some specific products that are being brought in for that chain, of, let's say, 20 restaurants to 100 or to, thousands, then it's a different thing, right? For example, I know that Gordon's used to do Chipotle, but that was a different it was a different strategy because all they had to do was pick up the trailer loads and store it and then distribute it to different stores, and they would get paid by case in terms of like cents per case to distribute it. So it wasn't something that they were buying themselves. It's just like, hey, Chipotle would buy directly from the supplier. They would ship it to GFS, storage, and then GFS would distribute it to the different stores. So it's very interesting how that works. And I think part of the advantage that I had growing up in the ice cream business and being a distributor, my dad was a full line distributor prior to the ice cream business. So he used to do all frozen items and dairy. So I know exactly what goes on in there.
You got to see the ins and outs of that side of it.
I've seen negotiations in the ice cream business. There's millions and millions of dollars going in checks just to get space in the stores and get doors and all these things that people are like not previewed to, right?
People don't realize that shelf space costs money.
Yeah, it does. It's like real estate, basically. You're paying for that. You're paying for that middle line a lot of money. During those negotiations, like Coke, cashbacks, all those things, it happens the same way with Uber, right? Like the Uber Eats of the world right now, it's the other negotiation that's basically going on with restaurants that people don't realize that, we have to pay Uber 20 to 25%, depending on how big your business is. Oh, but you could raise pricing on the menu. Yeah, but then that takes you and that puts you in a bad position because not only are you paying, you're raising your pricing on the app, they're also going to charge you, whatever money to deliver it. So not only is your ticket going to go up by $10, then they are adding now the tipping.
Oh, gratuities like
15, 18, 20%.
Thing.
Not mandated, but they put it there, suggested. What are you going to do? You're not going to tip the guy?
Right.
You're going to be a shithead? No. So then my order, for example, we ordered $4.88 at the house the other day, and that shit typically is $60. It ended up being $90.
Oh, wow.
Right?
I never ordered from a third-party service before.
Ever?
Never.
Does Uber exist over there?
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I don't know. But even to the office, I've never Ubered lunch to the office or anything. I've never done it before. It's a
convenience factor.
People pay for convenience.
I paid at that point. I did not want to leave my house. I was doing shit at home. I was on the computer, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I am not going.
And I'm starving. Okay, so with this, all of these factors playing into changing the menu as well as maybe some price changes and removal and or critiquing of new items.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What do you think the people want to see? Should we ask them?
Well, we are going to ask them. We have a project that's going to come up, and I'm not going to say shit because I think it's pretty cool.
Okay.
I told you guys.
He also gets in trouble when he says things prematurely.
Yes, I do. I think people are interested in seeing change at restaurants. The thing that I always tell you guys, especially that I think a lot of restaurant people don't think about. Big chains study these things for a long time, and they like to throw items on and not think about operations.
Right.
I am strictly operational.
We are the opposite.
I want to know how many times we're going to fuck this up.
Yeah.
Right?
And how is it going to slow down the production?
How is it going to slow down timing? How are people going to move in the kitchen? How many moves do they have to make? Where is the product coming from? What are the angles that they have to go to move? So it becomes kind of like, this expedition of trying to find out if it's going to, I hate the mata hambre just simply because of the fact that it has a fried egg.
Takes the kitchen a little while for that.
It takes the kitchen a little while when they're doing other things, and it throws the flow out, and then when you put it in a to-go container, that egg looks great when it's on top of the sandwich in the place, but then all of a sudden you take it home and you're traveling and all that shit, and that egg pops because you took a bump or something like that, and now the sandwich is a completely different thing.
We started packaging it separately.
The egg?
The egg.
Yeah, but that's stupid because now we're spending more money
I know.
on packaging.
I know.
That doesn't work. Personally, it doesn't work for me. It might work for the customer, for the guest, but it doesn't work for me. I don't think that's practical. If you're going to have something with an egg on top, go have it at the restaurant.
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
Eat the mata hambre at the store.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to take the mata hambre out of the menu. I like the sandwich. I think it's great, but I think we're going to put another sandwich there to replace it.
Get your mata hambres now, people.
Yeah. I'm actually going to put it online today. I think I'm going to get rid of the mata hambre. People, I'm just letting you know, and I'm going to replace it. I might replace it with a sandwich that I used to do in a food truck.
Oh, wow. People will be very excited about that.
Yeah. So the chimu might be coming back. I think it's important that we keep evolving, right? And we keep evolving the menu and kind of internationalizing it more, because sometimes you go into these routes where you stay stagnant and you start going into the easy way out.
And that's not always the best way.
It's not always the best thing.
And from the consumer standpoint, I always think it's really important to educate them. Like, be transparent and educate them about what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Yes and no.
This is where we differ.
Yes and no.
I think people want to know, though. Like, there are so many times where we have guests and they're like, why did you guys do this? Or why is brisket $1 more at this moment? Like, well...
Sometimes the consumer doesn't really care.
No. But if they do care, we should have the tools to be able to
Absolutely. I have no
it.
problem. But the consumer sometimes doesn't literally care.
Sometimes
they are already noticing it when they go to Publix or Walmart or Costco or whatever.
Yeah. Costs are up everywhere.
Costs are up everywhere. So it's just a matter of time till it makes it to your local restaurant. Like wings right now. Out of control.
Crazy.
I don't know how Wingstop, how all these wing places are doing it.
I've seen that other like wing places are doing like chicken thighs now. Like they are.
It's the worst thing.
They're doing
They took
less
wings that are not in their spec. They're going for wings that have no meat. Then all of a sudden now you have a problem that you're killing your name and you're killing your menu and you're killing everything that you've just worked so hard for to build. Just because the items are not available or they're overpriced. That's not cool. I just raise the price. Make sure that you give them the same thing. Be consistent with it. A lot of people change items. Like right now, it's the first time that we're going to change our bread in 7.5 years.
Right.
Bread that we were using before wasn't the right size for our sandwiches. It was too cakey, too bready, right? Yes, the coconut pineapple roll is great, whatever, but the flavor there sometimes wasn't the same. It's depending if they could find the product to do the coconut pineapple roll. Sometimes that product wasn't available, so they wouldn't tell us. So you have to be tasting the bread all the time. Like, why not just do a brioche? It's a great brioche product. You know, it tastes good. It's more airy. It makes the sandwich look much meaner in the sense that
fuller sandwich, and it's the right amount. So we made that change. Be consistent though.
If you have shitty food, be consistently shitty. If you have good food, be consistently good. You'll make money either way, because there's a lot of restaurants that you go out there that have consistently shitty food.
That's true.
And people go.
And they go.
I don't want to name them.
But
don't say that.
But they have
consistently shitty food.
But you know what you're getting, so it's okay.
Yeah.
It happens.
You know what you're getting. Like the other day, I was looking at a post and I couldn't believe that they posted a fucking burnt pizza. And I screenshot it and I send it to 2 or 3 people in the industry and I go, really?
What is this?
What is this? This is burnt. Like, how do they not recognize when they post that picture?
Yeah.
Pizza, for example, that's why we decided not to go with wood or coal.
Yeah, because there's too much room for error.
There's too much room for error. So we decided to go with an electric pizza oven, which is state of the art, right? So it should not burn anything. It's the Cadillac of pizza ovens. It'll pay in the long run.
That's a wrap.
Is it a wrap? Hey, if you hit the button and subscribe, that'll be pretty cool.